Welcome everyone. This is Module 3. Module 3. Facilitate training session in a suitable environment. Module objectives. At the end of this module, you will be able to demonstrate training plan and how the trainees would benefit from it. Modify training plan explaining the need for the same. Evaluate training on the basis of training modules as instructed. Evaluate training methods. Devise additional training to learners to achieve the desired output. Principle of active learning. Trainers must always focus on creating an active learning environment so as to conduct successful training. In an active learning environment, trainers view themselves as facilitators of learning and as resources as opposed to only conveyors of knowledge and information. Effective trainings are interactive and have high trainee involvement. Actively engaged trainees are more likely to retain, recall and remember training content, thereby meeting learning objectives. Example of benefits of principle of active learning. Facilitating strategies for demonstrating training plan. Demonstrate training plan and how the trainees would benefit from it. Continuously evaluate training plan and modify it according to trainee needs. Keep the trainees updated of the same. Ask questions. Review statements. Rephrasing what you have heard. Clarify your own understanding. Encourage the trainee to hear what is she or he has stated. How does effective demonstration of training benefit trainees? Foster discussion. Extends learning. Introduces other perspectives. Allows discussions amongst trainees and between trainee and trainer. How does effective demonstration of training benefit trainees? Listen reflectively. Essential for effective discussion facilitation. Builds understanding and consensus. Active listening skills include encouraging, paraphrasing, clarifying, reflecting, summarizing and validating. Provide consistent feedback. Candid, passionate feedback can be a powerful stimulus for learning. It addresses the trainee's need for immediate application. How to provide effective feedback. Feedback sandwich technique. Types of feedback: positive feedback, negative feedback. Feedback sandwich: positive feedback, negative feedback, more positive feedback. Feedback sandwich technique. The feedback sandwich technique is a popular three-step procedure to help trainers, managers and employers with providing corrective feedback. The sandwich feedback method consists of positive feedback followed by corrective feedback followed by more positive feedback. In other words, the sandwich feedback method involves discussing corrective feedback, that is, sandwiched between two layers of praise. Benefits of this technique are: 1. It softens the impact of the criticism or corrective feedback and encourages the receiver to improve instead of feeling demotivated. The feedback provider finds it easier to discuss problems with the receiver if this discussion begins and ends with appreciating the efforts of receiver. Example of feedback sandwich technique. Assume Sudha led a brainstorming meeting and habitually Sudha does not circulate the agendas prior to the meetings she leads. After one such meeting, Sudha's manager uses the sandwich feedback technique to persuade her to be more organized. Praise. Sudha, we had a very productive meeting. We had the right participants and collected all the necessary inputs from other departments. Thanks for your coordination. Corrective feedback. Did you notice that the discussions were unsystematic? When you do not distribute an agenda prior to the meeting, the participants do not come prepared. During the meeting, they have to use their phones or tablets to collect information. Additionally, we tend to spend a lot of time digressing from the meeting objectives. How can you avoid this? A discussion ensues. Praise. You are doing so well with gathering all the inputs. I am pleased about your diligence in circulating minutes of your meetings and following up on action terms. How does effective demonstration of training benefit trainees? The trainer must enable effective facilitation, participatory and experiential learning, and thus lead to sustainable knowledge and skills gain of and for the intended candidates. The learning content should not be passed on from the trainer to the participants in a one-way communication with trainees only listening. Instead, training participants should be encouraged to discover learning contents themselves in an active process. The benefits of experiential learning, deeper insights, long-lasting learning. Types of training methods. Effective training can never be approached as a one-size-fits-all method. But with many training methods, identifying and selecting the best training method for your trainees will make your training successful and maximize the learnings of your trainees. List of training methods will help you find the most effective training method for your needs. Types of training methods. Lecture, simulations, self-directed learning, OJT, games, icebreakers, energizers, team building activity, demonstrations, group discussions, brainstorming, role plays, films and videos, case study, storytelling, reflections. Lecture. Verbal presentation of information by an instructor to a large audience. Traditional and direct method of instruction. Verbal presentation of information by an instructor to a large audience. Motivate and create interest among the trainees. Considerable depth of knowledge of subject required. Used in college and universities. Enhances the knowledge of listener. You should also try for a relaxed conversational tone. Allow yourself to think out loud and engage with the material as you present a lecture. Avoid merely reading your lectures. If you must refer to your notes frequently, combine this with lots of eye contact. When you lecture, speak clearly and not too rapidly. If students are busy taking notes, go even slower. Face the students as much as possible rather than facing the blackboard, projection screen, or laptop. Advantages and disadvantages of lecture. Advantages. Less time required for preparation, provides lots of information quickly. Cost per trainee is very low. Disadvantages. Does not involve trainees too much. Trainees may forget the teaching as it is presented only orally. Simulation. Creating computer versions of real-life games. It involves the use of basic equipment or computer software to model a real-world scenario. During simulation-based training, the learner is taught how to perform certain tasks or activities in various real-world scenarios. They will be better prepared should the event actually occur. It provides confidence to solve potential problems. It improves teamwork. Simulation-based training even allows learners to explore several outcomes and thus get a better understanding of the scenario and available solutions more immediately. Equipment simulators can be used in giving training to taxi drivers, telephone operators, maintenance workers, product development engineers, airline pilots. Example of simulations: CRM, Customer Relationship Management. It is a software or tool used by companies to feed, store and retrieve data related to customers. CRM is a one-stop shop for the data and helps quick and easy retrieval of data. Tagging a query in CRM. Tagging a complaint in CRM. You can see the image on the screen to understand more. Advantages and disadvantages of simulations. Advantages: provide users with practical feedback when designing real-world systems. Allows the designer to determine the correctness and efficiency of a design before the system is actually constructed. Permits system designers to study a problem at several different levels of abstraction. Effective means for teaching or demonstrating concepts to students. Disadvantages: any correct keystroke has the potential to alter the results of the simulation and give you the wrong results. It's a simulation, not an original one. Very expensive to develop. To be used, they required internet or computers. Self-directed learning. Trainees assume primary responsibility of their own learning. Trainees retain a greater degree of control regarding topics, sequence of learning, and pace of learning. How to promote self-directed learning. Creating activities that support trainees in understanding outcomes, taking into account the possible results. Acknowledging a variety of perspectives using mind mapping or infographics. Comparing and contrasting maps between trainees supports them in noticing differences. Computer-based training. Primary medium of instructions are computers, computer-based instructional materials. It is designed to structure and present instructional materials and facilitate the learning process for the trainees. Advantages and disadvantages of self-directed learning. Advantages: builds responsibility in the learner to take charge of his own learning and imbibes lifelong learning in the learner. Learn at your own pace. Learn anywhere you want. Standardized content regularly with no impact of quality of trainer. Content can be regularly updated and shared with learners in a soft copy without any downtime. Disadvantages: absence of group dynamics, monotonous, dependent on internet or computer. It is very expensive to develop. On-the-job training, OJT. On-the-job training, providing practical training on what is being taught. The simple objective of OJT is to use the existing environment, tools and skill training available in the workplace to train trainees to do their jobs on the job. For example, in a medium-sized manufacturing company, the security specialist and the team leader of the Safety and Environment Committee provides training to all staff in security, emergency evacuation procedures, and safety. They also train new employees during the employee orientation. Frequently used training methods used for new skill acquisition. Training is specific to the job tasks. Example, use of actual tools, equipment, procedures. Easy transfer of training back to the job. Depends on the skill, knowledge, time availability and motivation level of the trainer. OJT is often unstructured regarding what is taught, how things are taught, timing and sequencing of what is taught, time spent, focus on what is taught, when or if, Mastery of skills has been achieved. Example of an OJT sheet. Visit a doctor and observe the process of demonstration of medicines and other related equipments. Write down your observation on the same. Nature of task, date, my observations. Advantages of on-the-job training. Gives the real feel of the job. Training with equipment they are familiar with and people they know can help them. Gain direct experience to a standard approved by the employer. Is productive as the trainee is still working as they are learning. Less disruptive to the business, that is, employees are not away from work. Generally, more cost effective. Disadvantages of on-the-job training. Trainees lose the focus of learning in the classroom and may not want to come back to classroom for integration of learning. Effort or inconvenience for employers to integrate OJT in a running business. Trainees have to incur a daily cost of going for the OJT. Games. A spirited activity or exercise in which trainees compete with each other according to the defined set of rules. The benefits of using games in trainings are: they are engaging, they provide a safe environment to fail, they improve self-esteem. When playing, it is easier to interact with others, to establish dialogue, to overcome cultural, social and generational barriers. They promote collaborative learning. Icebreaker. Icebreakers are essential for helping participants to get to know each other and for relieving the initial tension that is to be expected among a new group of people. Icebreakers help the team to play and learn together and set the stage for continued training together. Warm-up activities are usually used to begin a session on a positive note or to recharge if the group's energy seems to be low. Some groups begin with a simple stretching exercise to get warmed up. Energizer. Even when participants are interested and concerned about the subject being covered, they can get tired and sleepy. Energizers give participants a quick break and may add some humor, contributing to a positive group spirit. Points to note. Try to choose games that involve touch, particularly of different body parts. Try to select games in which everybody can participate and be sensitive to the needs and circumstances of the group. For example, some games may exclude people with disabilities. Try to ensure the safety of the group, particularly with games that involve running. For example, make sure that there is enough space and that the floor is clear. Try not to use only competitive games, but also include ones that encourage team building. Try to avoid energizers that go on too long. Keep them short and move on to the next planned activity when everyone has had a chance to move about and wake up. Energizer. Example. Have participants from a circle. To introduce the exercise, say, I'm going to face and make eye contact with the person on my left and we will try to clap our hands at the same moment. Then she or he will turn to the left and clap hands at the same time with the person next to her or him. We will pass and beat around the circle. Let's try it now and remember to make eye contact and try to clap at the same time. The rhythm builds up and the facilitator can call out faster or slower to increase the speed. Once the hand claps have passed around the circle, say, now we will try to make the rhythm go faster and faster. Always be ready because we might send additional rounds of hand claps around the circle chasing the first. The beat begins to be passed around the circle from one person to the next. Remind people to keep it going, even if it stops for a moment when someone misses the beat. When the first round of hand claps is well established, start a new round.
Eventually, there might be 3 or 4 beats going around the group at the same time. This will often result in an enjoyable, high-energy chaos with lots of laughter. Advantages and disadvantages of games. Improves decision-making and analytical skills. Help develop an understanding of the interrelationships. Help develop the ability to function cooperatively and effectively in a small group situation. Disadvantages. Can be distracting during the training program. It is very difficult to bring the energy back to the trainees, back to the training room. Take a lot of time and have limited content which can be delivered during the time. Demonstration. Visual display of how something works or how to do something. Having verbal and visual components, participants have the opportunity of learning key points. During interaction, the participants are in a position to clarify their own learning needs, raising queries and clear their doubts. The trainer can control the pace and easily alter to meet the needs of the group. The demonstration should be carried out slowly so the participants do not miss any key points. It is important that the demonstration is visible to everyone. Advantages and disadvantages of demonstration. Advantages. Useful for the product demonstrations. The trainees can have actual experience of the product or service. Disadvantages. Cost is higher as compared to other mediums. Additional cost if the trainees have another demonstration site. Distract trainees from the classroom teaching. Cannot be used on computer-based training programs. Group discussion. These are based on the principle of the trainer taking on the role of a group promoter. A group discussion is effective for participatory learning, where the trainer acts as a group advisor, group facilitator, group torch bearer. Brainstorming is a type of group method for collecting ideas, suggestions from the participants. This technique is used to solve problems, collect information by stimulating creative thinking through unrestrained and spontaneous participation in discussion. Advantages of group discussion. Advantages is both learner and subject-centric, stimulates learners to think about issues and problems, encourages learners to exchange their own experiences by making learning more active and less isolating, provides opportunity for sharing of ideas and concerns, fosters positive peer support and feelings of belonging, reinforces learning. Disadvantages of group discussion. One member of the group can dominate the discussion, easy to digress from the topic. Shy learners may refuse to become involved or may need a great deal of encouragement to participate. Requires skill to tactfully redirect learners who digress or dominate without losing their trust and that of the other group members. More time consuming for the transmission of information than other methods such as lecture. Role play. Participatory learning method where trainees are provided an opportunity to put into action the skills learned through the training enactment. For an effective role play, an artificial situation is created. Every individual trainee is assigned a role which he or she enacts to demonstrate the skills learned through the process of training. Facilitator acts as guide or director of the enacted play. Advantages and disadvantages of role play. Advantages: communication skills, conflict resolution, group decision making. Disadvantages: most done in small groups, most feedback given by other less than competent group members. Highly emotionally charged situations are less effective in large groups. Performance seems to be too artificial and sounds funny. Limited learning in large group.
Films and videos. Content is presented in the form of videotape or computer-based program. Key features of using video and films as a training method are: audio visuals, maintains the interest of the audience, easy to handle and explain, provides a lot of content to talk about. Advantages and disadvantages of films and videos. Advantages: easy to train, the trainer can follow up with questions and discussions. Provide same information to all the trainees. Can be translated into any languages. Disadvantages: expensive to develop and change in future. Such type of training has to be outsourced, which may make the training less content specific. Requires electricity and a projector or large TV, which may not be available at all times in a training center. Case study. A case study presents as in-depth description of a particular problem an employee might encounter on the job. The trainee attempts to find and analyze the problem, evaluate alternative courses of action and decide what course of action would be most satisfactory. Example of case study. Call centers in India. Global organizations have always preferred outsourcing call center services to India when compared to outsourcing to China, Philippines, Malaysia, and other Asian countries. India has always been the most preferred outsourcing location because call centers in India offer a wide variety of advantages that other countries do not offer. Today, having call centers in India has become the norm for several global companies. Many international organizations are also setting up call centers in India because India has a large qualified workforce and can also provide cost-effective call center outsourcing services. Outsource call center services to India and give your organization a competitive edge. Answer the following questions. Number 1. Why outsource to call centers in India? 2. How it is helping India? Advantages and disadvantages of case studies. Advantages: case studies are good. Source of ideas about behavior. Opportunity for innovation. Method to study rare phenomena. Method to challenge theoretical assumptions. Alternative or complement to the group focus of psychology. Disadvantages: hard to draw definite cause-effect conclusions. Hard to generalize from a single case. Possible biases in data collection and interpretation, since single person gathers and analyzes the information. Storytelling. Storytelling is used to open a discussion, engage participants, share experiences, solve problems, aid understanding. Reflections. Reflection allows participants to stop and think about what they have experienced. Achieving desired output. 1. One must continuously evaluate training methods and training aids and check if it helps trainee needs and brings out the desired learning outcomes. 2. Evaluate the learning needs and keep trying different combinations of learning methods and aids to achieve effective learning. 3. The training methods and training aids must be changed according to the needs of the learner. For example, Rachna is a trainee who has learning disabilities in reading and writing. She is enrolled in a regular training program along with students of special needs as well as regular students. Modifications and accommodations provided for Rachna's training routine, and when she is assessed during the training include the following. She has shorter reading and writing assignments. Her sessions handouts are based upon the training curriculum but her independent reading level, which may let her finish the assignments later than her peers. She has assessment questions, read or explain to her when she asks. Rachna gives her answers to essay-type assignments speaking rather than writing them down. 3. Materials. For example, providing audio taped lectures, giving copies of trainers' lectures notes, using large print handouts or books or reading resources on CD, digital text. 4. Instruction. For example, reducing the difficulty of assignments or tasks, reducing the reading level, using a trainee or peer tutor. 5. Trainee response. For example, allowing answers to be given orally or dictated, using sign language or native language if it is not English. Thank you and all the best.